Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. We are super excited to get this group, We Are Centered CEOs, up and running. Angie and I have been working on bringing this tribe together and making it come to fruition for a very long time, so it's really a dream come true for us. We wanted to take a minute today and talk about our framework and what brought us here and how we got started on Centered CEOs. So Centered CEOs is a company that Angie and I founded back in August when we were living through, the craziest part of our pandemic and watching as so many of our friends and fellow small business owners were really struggling and hurting and really, in pretty bad straits, many of them.
Right. And if you know my prior background, before we started our travel business together, I was working as a forensic accountant, consultant, and a lot of times I was hired to do interim management work in bankruptcy or assist in determining lost profits for a business. And I had all these skill sets and I was willing to put them aside, but then I realized during this pandemic, those skill sets really are valuable, and I really want to help support small business owners and create the opportunities to provide the services that I was providing for a much larger company in big business. So incorporating Janet's background as a nurse practitioner and her ability to create mindset and the people that she serves, I really think the collaboration of our expertise is going to create a lot of value for you and for this community. And we also hope that you'll participate as well and share your knowledge and experiences with the group.
So today we want to talk about our framework and also our mantra and what is our mission. Our mission is pretty ambitious. We want to help 10,000 small business owners elevate their business and their brand, delegate responsibilities that are outside their zone of genius and that don't bring them joy and fulfillment, and replicate processes and successful procedures in every single area of their business. How do we do this? We've created a framework that Angie's going to introduce.
We have a framework and it's called MAPS. MAPS stands for Mindful, Assertive, Profitable, and Sustainable. We actually introduced this framework in 2019. When Jen and I were running our business, it kind of took off faster than we were prepared. We were still working our prior jobs and our business together was more of a passion project. But we quickly learned that there was opportunity to take our business to the next level. And we worked tirelessly to learn a new industry and to really take over the accounting, the sales, the marketing, and the customer service. And our prior experience helped us in many of those categories, but some of those categories and disciplines were newer to us. And we realized after a year, 2 years, 3 years into our business that we were a little overwhelmed and exhausted and it wasn't going to be sustainable. So what we realized is we needed to come up with a framework that kept us focused and allowed us to have work-life balance.
And allowed us to scale because we were growing. Our boutique travel advisor business, which was our first business that we started together, it was Angie's second business at the time, was growing much faster than we had anticipated. And as any small business owner who's had a business that's expanding quickly knows, it's a blessing and a curse because you are going through growing pains. And the only way to overcome and survive and thrive is to implement very specific and strategic processes and procedures. And I used to implement a lot of processes and procedures in place when I worked at the hospital. It was one of the things that I was really good at, that I was really passionate about. And I said to Angie, we need to take a step back, go back to the drawing board and really create a framework that would work for our business. So that was in 2019. And now that brings us here. We want to share this framework with you. So the first part of MAPS is M, and M stands, as Angie mentioned, for mindful. Mindfulness is something that's extremely important to both of us and something that I'm really passionate about. But mindful in our business is a little bit different. So in our MAPS framework, mindful has several components. We have the mindful why, the mindful who, the mindful what, and the mindful when. The mindful why is where everything begins. It is your vision, your value, your purpose. It's your mission. Our why for Centered CEOs in this group is to help 10,000 small business owners reach the next level of success in their business. It's what gets us up in the morning. It's what we're passionate about. It's what keeps us up at night when we're texting each other at midnight because we have all these ideas. We really want to make a massive, massive impact, and we really want to help as many people as possible. So whatever your why is, that's where you need to start. And if you don't have a clear and concise why, you need to go back to the drawing board and sit down and really come up with, why are you doing what you're doing? Why does your business exist? Why is it important? What is the value it's going to bring to the world?
And as business owners, I think oftentimes we want profitability in our business because we have a greater why. That why, what is your purpose? It might be a charity that is so important to you, or it might be making sure that you provide for your family and that you're able to help your greater community.
The next component of the mindful section of MAPS is the mindful who.
And the who has two parts. It's who you are and who you serve. And who you are is your Jones of genius. You need to identify what is it about you, your services, and your products that is going to make the people that you serve want to buy from you. The who you serve has to be aligned with the expertise that you're providing. So you really have to know who your customers are and who you want to service and create a niche around that so it's very clear to your market that you can solve their problems.
You have to have a market dominating position that puts you on a pedestal above your competition, that differentiates you and allows your clients to really understand very quickly and very concisely and very clearly why you're different and how you're different. So in order to create your ideal client persona, you have to first know who you are, what your zone of genius is, what your market dominating position is, and who you can best serve. And that way you can create client personas and appeal to the prospects that are truly going to benefit from working with you, instead of just kind of throwing that out there and hoping somebody comes and works with you. You don't want to serve anybody and everybody, right? You want to serve a very specific niche of people that can benefit from the services that you provide.
You need to be strategic because it's really important that you control the clients that come to you. A lot of people are frustrated with their clients and they forget that they actually have control over who they serve.
Exactly. So the next part of MAPS is the what, the mindful what. The mindful what has to do with what is your marketing and your sales strategy. As we talked about at the very beginning, in order to have a successful business that you position to grow and scale sustainably, you have to have very clear operating procedures and you have to be intentional in everything that you're doing. So what is your marketing strategy? What are the areas that you're marketing in? What are the mediums that you're using? Are you marketing on social media? Are you marketing with Google Ads? Are you marketing through your local community? What is your marketing strategy and is it effective, right? So you have to go back and reassess it all the time. I'm being mindful in where I'm marketing because I'm trying to reach my specific ideal target clients and this is where they hang out.
And once you have that lead generation where you've cultivated a following, whether it's contact information such as emails or their followers on your Facebook page or your LinkedIn, it's important to be able to utilize that information and be able to say, okay, next step, how do I now, what is my sales strategy and how do I now sell to the people who have cultivated themselves within my community?
Exactly. And your sales strategy has to be also very intentional and very specific and very strategic, because the way that you sell to your ideal clients is not necessarily the same way that you would sell to a different type of client, right? People have different approaches to selling and you have to have a sales methodology. Angie's and I sales methodology that we created with our prior business, with our first business, Boutique Travel Advisors, is very much value-based and transformation-based. We sell the dream, we sell the outcome, we sell the process and the experience. And so it's very hard to put a price tag on a once-in-a-lifetime experience versus having a price tag on a particular item or a particular service. Because if you can replicate, if your competition can go out there and replicate exactly what you're doing, you're going to be always competing on price. The way you get away from competing on price is to have a strategic sales strategy that reflects your zone of genius, reflects your unique identity, reflects what you have to offer and provide to the world, and sells that.
And different businesses have different sales strategies from the standpoint. Some businesses, the sale happens quick. In other businesses, it's a cultivated relationship, and the buyer needs to have more exposure to your brand before they actually make a commitment. And other businesses have the ability to sell lower level offers and then create that journey where that same client will eventually purchase a higher level offer.
So the next thing on our mindful M is your mindful when. So when is the timeline, your goals, and your strategy for achieving success that you hold yourself accountable for.
And goals are so important. And what makes goals so important is that we all have to have our own definition of success, but we can't really measure that success if we don't set goals. How do you know if you really achieved success if you didn't have a goal that you were shooting for?
Exactly. So that's our M. The mindful M, just to recap, has your mindful why. Why do you do what you do? What is your vision and your greater purpose? The mindful who are you and who do you serve? The mindful what is your marketing and your sales strategy? And the mindful what is your timeline? When will you achieve your goals? The next portion of our MAPS framework is A, and A stands for assertive.
And I think a lot of small business owners have difficulty with assertiveness. There's a fine line between being overconfident and having an ego, which can be really disruptive to your team and to the people you serve, and being shy or fearful or afraid. So that assertiveness is meant to create a balance in knowing when you need to make decisions and empower your team versus when you need to step out of your own comfort zone.
Setting boundaries is really, really important, and it's very difficult for a lot of us because most of us who are small business owners and entrepreneurs, we're really passionate about what we're doing, and we really want to make a difference, and we really want to serve our clients. And when we're always serving others, sometimes we forget to serve ourselves, and sometimes it gets in the way of serving our families and serving the people that are outside of our business relationships. And so having the boundaries between your personal life and your business life is exceptionally important in order to have a holistic business and life, and also to have a sustainable business that you can grow indefinitely and that doesn't have a ceiling that you can cap at.
And oftentimes when we talk about work-life balance, the reality is it is a pendulum, and sometimes you have to prioritize work for the benefit of having more time in your life later on. My earlier years as a forensic accountant, I had to travel a lot. In some cases, I was required to be in a city attending depositions or being in a courtroom. And that took me away from my family. My family was really, really young. So I had to really balance. And one of the things I did anytime I traveled, I tried to take the next day, whether it was a work day or not, and take that day off so I could spend it with my children. And they always looked forward to that, knowing if mom's going to be traveling, she's going to make it up to us. That anticipation really allowed them to carry on while I was traveling.
And the other part of assertive that's really important that I just want to touch on for a minute is your ability to have conflict resolution. And that goes for the conflict resolution you have with your clients, because at some point it's inevitable that you're going to have a client that's not satisfied or unhappy or disgruntled or whatnot, whose expectations maybe you didn't meet. And you're also going to have conflict with the team members, with the people that work with you, the people that work for you, the suppliers that you use, whoever they may be, and whatever your industry is. And it's super important to be able to have a strategic and very intentional method to the way that you resolve conflict.
And the preventative measures of conflict resolution is so important. I worked in litigation consulting, and I saw where partnerships were in dispute or businesses were having a contractual dispute, and they went into the litigation environment. And what that does is it takes time away from your business, and it's very costly to be involved in litigation. So I think preventing conflict resolution and solving problems early on as they arise is very, very important, so you can avoid the distraction of being in a conflict. And I think we also have learned that when you have a conflict in your business, evaluate it, determine what you did right, what you did wrong, so that the next time you're able to solve the problem more effectively.
Yeah, and when I worked in the hospital, we used a system in medicine that whoever is in the healthcare industry might be very familiar with, and it's called the root cause analysis. Whenever something would go wrong, which of course things happen, best laid plans, best intentions, people make mistakes, we're all human, we would do a root cause analysis, and that would really try to get to the bottom of why the problem occurred. So instead of blaming and instead of looking at an issue that happened and saying whose fault was it, who messed up, who dropped the ball, it's what could we have done differently to have prevented this from happening,
right,
and how do we prevent it from happening again in the future? And that it reframes your entire way of thinking about conflict and mistakes and turns it into a learning experience.
Yeah, and it totally changes your mindset going forward.
Yeah, so the other part of assertive that's a really big part for us is your mindset. Using assertiveness, being an assertive person is very much different than being an aggressive person. And I think a lot of times people mistake assertive people for aggressive people. And it's not the same thing at all. So having a growth mindset is exceptionally important to us in our business, but also we believe to, anyone who's running a business and in life, because essentially the concept of growth mindset says that a person is born with certain talents and certain abilities, but those abilities are malleable. You can improve, you can grow, you can change, you can learn new skills and become more talented.
We're constantly learning. And I think the more that you allow yourself to be engaged in new opportunities in your field, or even just as a business owner, it allows you to continue to have that competitive advantage over the competition if you're always one step ahead on what's new and innovative in your industry.
And growth mindset also helps you be a better leader, because it means that you see the people that you work with as able to grow and change. You see their potential. You see the opportunities that if you provide them with growth and learning opportunities, that they're going to be able to rise up to the next level.
And it'll give you that sense of authority in your field.
Yeah. So growth mindset is a big part of assertiveness. And if you cultivate a growth mindset, which definitely takes a lot of work, then you'll be able to have better conflict resolution and prevent conflicts from occurring and be a better team leader and a happier human being.
And better outcomes for your clients and for your overall business. Our next, the next letter in MAPS is P, and P stands for profitability. And this is
a big one.
It is, and I think it's really hard to cover all aspects of profitability, but I think it's important that our profitability is driven by how well we launch our initiatives in our business, how we analyze the goals that we set, and if we're not reaching that goal, why are we not reaching that goal, so that we make changes so that that goal can be achieved if not succeeded. Another big area with profitability is ROI. I'm constantly talking about ROI. I think everything has ROI. So you have to look at your products. Do your products have ROI? When you're investing time in something, does the investment of that time bring an ROI to your business?
Definitely. And ROI is so important too, because there's the financial ROI that helps you become more profitable, and then there's the personal ROI. So there are certain things that you may do in your business that maybe are below your pay grade, that maybe you're not so great at, that other people might look at you and say, why do you do that? If it brings you extreme joy and you're really passionate about doing it, there's an ROI in that. But ROI also means that you follow the 80-20 rule. And we all know that 80% of the profits and revenue in our business comes from 20% of our top clients and 20% of what we do. So our goal with our clients and with ourselves is always to flip that equation on its head, right? So instead of spending 80% of the time doing things that don't bring us revenue and don't bring us joy, we want to spend 80% of the time doing things that bring us revenue and bring us joy, and 20% of the time doing the other things that we have to do in our business.
Another key element under the profitability that we want to share with you today is value. And I think as business owners, we easily get caught up doing administrative tasks that don't generate ROI for our business, and instead are tasks that can be performed at a much lower rate. In addition to value, we have to look at not only is it tasks that can be performed at a much lower rate than, let's say, our own value that we bring to our business, but there's also the value of time. So a perfect example with value of time, as a business owner, oftentimes we find ourselves researching something that could be researched by our tax accountant, or something that could be researched by a marketing expert or a lawyer. And if you're spending 20 or 30 hours researching a legal question, for example, you might be intimidated by the hourly rate of an attorney, but if they can get that done in an hour, 2 hours time, you're getting a significant greater value by having that attorney solve the problem, which is, there's more value in that when you keep in mind, if you don't get the right answer, having researched it yourself, the liability for your business can be substantial. So it's really important to know, is this, when you perform tasks in your business, it's really important to know, is this a task that I should be performing? Should I be delegating it to a team member or an employee, or should I be outsourcing it? That'll really help increase the value of your overall business and provide you more time, and allowing the experts to do the expertise that they're good at, you do the things that you're good at, and delegate something that can be done at a significantly lower level.
And the other flip side of that is there's things that we do in our business that really you could outsource for, $15 to $20 an hour to a virtual assistant or an intern or an assistant that you really shouldn't be doing, because your time is worth more than that. And so constantly reevaluating and making a list of the things that you're doing in your business will help you generate greater ROI. Because if your zone of genius is selling, or your zone of genius is patient care, or your zone of genius is graphic design, and you're spending 10, 15 hours a week, researching how to post on social media or doing email marketing campaigns that you're not really good at, not only are you not getting the ROI on that time, but you're also wasting time that could be spent doing things that actually will bring you revenue.
Right. And the pandemic had effect on a lot of small business owners, which really gave us a crash course in cash management. And we will be sharing a blog on Friday that will go over different ideas that you might have for the new year. I feel like the new year is always a great time to reevaluate where you can save money in your business. But last, I also want to touch on understanding financial statements in your business. And I highly encourage anyone that could use some guidance in understanding financial statements. What is the difference between a balance sheet versus a profit and loss statement? So comment if you could use some guidance in those areas of understanding your business. Because if you don't know what products bring you profitability, or whether or not you're getting an ROI on your marketing and advertising spend, your balance sheet and being able to assess that is so important. So please share if that's something that could help you in your business.
And I think what a lot of us may recognize but don't necessarily talk about so often in small businesses is most of us go into business because we're really passionate about whatever it is that we're in business to do, or we're experts in a certain field. But that doesn't necessarily make us experts in being small business owners. And I think that there's a big disconnect. And I think that's one of the sad reasons that 95% of small businesses fail, is because even if you know a lot about whatever it is that you do, that doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to run a profitable business, and you know how to scale a business, and you know how to hire. And there's so many different hats that we have to wear as business owners. I mean, we could literally spend the next 2 hours talking about it. But understanding where you need help and how you can elevate your brand by bringing in outside resources is so important.
Absolutely. We're going to now talk about sustainability.
So sustainability is the last part of our MAPS framework, and it's really, really important, and it's something that Angie and I talk about all the time. So what does sustainability mean? Sustainability really means, is your business a sustainable business? Can your business, and we all got to get a crash course in this in 2020, and sadly a lot of businesses were not sustainable, but can your business, A, survive a devastating effect like the pandemic? Does your business have cash reserves? Does your business have lines of credit? Does your business have areas that you can quickly cut expenses? And also, is your business sustainable from a personal standpoint? Can you continue to work in your business at the same pace or greater than what you're currently doing and maintain quality of life, personal health and well-being, and profitability?
I think it's also really important to recognize if something were to happen to you, can your business run without you? Whether that's on a short-term basis or unfortunately on a long-term basis. We're all in business to provide for our families. So I think it's really important to protect them with things like key person insurance, or in my case, I had a business by myself, and that was always a fear, like what would happen if something happened to me? So for me, choosing a partner like Janet was very important going forward. So whether you choose to have a partner, I think it's very important that you at least bring in an apprentice who understands your business, and you have processes and procedures in place so someone can step in to fill your position and role if need be.
We talk to a lot of business owners and we'll ask them, do you have a contingency plan? And what percentage actually do?
Just the question scares people.
Just the question scares people. And I think a lot of small business owners really don't have contingency planning. We are so inundated with the day-to-day work of our business that we don't really think, what would happen if I could not work in my business tomorrow? What would happen to your business? And this is a question you really need to ask yourself and really think about. If tomorrow you woke up and you could not go to work and you could not work in your business, how long could your business survive without you? And how quickly would it lose value?
And what effect would that have on the people you serve, from your employees to the family that depend on the income that you generate from your business? So, I mean, I've seen this time and again in my consulting years, is that the valuation of a business is grossly impacted if something happens to the owner.
Yeah.
So it's important to be prepared for that. And I think, especially if your family or your spouse knows nothing about your business, if something were to happen to you, that time frame for them to figure out your business, you're losing value. A perfect example would be a dentist who runs a practice. Something happens and it takes, wife is grieving, and it takes her 3 to 6 months to figure out how to transition the business. And during that time frame, the clients are now going to neighboring dentists and there's no valuation. The book of business is depleted because there was too much time where the business wasn't properly being cared for.
And we saw this a lot. We see this a lot in healthcare, sadly, because again, those of us who come from healthcare or work in the healthcare industry are there to serve patients, and we're not necessarily always super aware of our day-to-day contingency plans and bottom lines. And we also see it a lot in the travel industry, which is where Angie and I have our other business. And very sadly, I mean, so many travel professionals are, in a silo, and they work as a single travel advisor, and they might have huge, amazing books of business. But what would happen to that book of business if that travel advisor couldn't work in them anymore? And we've seen it happen. And sadly, what usually happens is the valuation starts to drop very, very quickly.
Right. And in our business, we follow process and procedures where if Janet is working on an engagement and her family is off the beaten path on a vacation where they don't have cell phone service or internet, I'm able to step in and assist her clients and vice versa. So I think it's really important to recognize, even a vacation, as a business owner, we need to be able to step away from our businesses because we need that break. So it's really important to learn how to run your business without always having to be in it.
Yeah. And also for scaling, right? I mean, if your goal is to grow your business and to scale it, is that a sustainable goal? Do you have processes and procedures where you can quickly start hiring people? We'll say this to clients as well. If we suddenly bring you 20 new clients, could you service them? And a lot of times they say, well, yeah, I could. And we'll say, really? Well, do you have processes and procedures? Do you have people you can readily call and hire that you can call on? And then they'll say, well, no, not really. I mean, we do things this way. This is how we've always done them. It's in my head. I have a process. I memorize it. It's scribbled on a piece of paper somewhere in my office. Well, if you bring in a new employee, they're not going to be able to read your scribbled handwriting from your office. And they're not going to be able to look inside your head to see how you handle servicing your clients. And so having things written down, and actually what Angie and I do that's super quick and easy and is like one of the best tips that I can share for creating processes and procedures is to create short videos. Create a video of yourself while you're doing something that's a key aspect in your business, whether it's the way that you enter your accounting, whether it's the way you do your bookkeeping, whether it's the way that you service a client or respond to an email, and record yourself doing that so that way, if you do need to bring someone on board, or you need to outsource, or you need to delegate, you're able to do that, and the person can literally just jump in, watch this quick video of how you're doing things, and very quickly pick up on your process.
Because consistency and processes are so important when you're going to scale your business.
We hope that this was helpful for you. We're so grateful, and we are going to be sharing so much amazing information. Please, please, please introduce yourselves, comment, like, share, invite people into this group that you think would benefit from the things that we're sharing. We're going to be giving a lot of value and a lot of expertise, and Angie and I are available. So, comment and ask us questions in the group. We're here to answer them. We're really excited to be able to get this tribe off the ground. And we can't wait to have, other people and share the spotlight with other experts who are experts in whatever their niche in the field is.
Thank you so much. And we look forward to getting to know you in the community.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.